Hi there, gaming buddies. It's Winter in Finland, making another game review. This time it's not horror or occult. Uh, I like other genres as well, and I've run plenty of different kinds of games. I'm going to come at you with science fiction, or rather, science fantasy. The book in question is Star Wars role-playing game Saga Edition Core Rule Book. Made by Wizards of the Coast around 2007 as a sort of testing bed for some of their D&D 4th edition ideas, um, which shows through very clearly in certain parts. Um, I've not had the chance to run this game as often as I would have liked. I really like this game. It's simple, straightforward, and it's Star Wars. But I've run several one-shots, and they've been a lot of fun. But let's go over the basics. As you can see in the back here, there's a D20 stamp. This is a D20 system game. Anyone familiar with that system, you will be able to get into this game just like that. I mean, immediately. It's not all that different. Um, yeah, and this book has complete game rules for players and game masters, so you don't need a separate game master guide. Uh, there is a sort of bestiary available for this, but this core book also has some NPCs and creatures that you can have as opponents. Uh, so we have here 288 pages with good layout, character sheet in the back with an index that is in black and red. It's nicely separated where all the black text in this index are different talents for classes, which we'll go into those later, what those are. But yeah, and the general rules are in bold red type here. So first we come to the introduction. What is a role-playing game? What dice to use? What characters are? What they can do? Um, how to run a gaming session? An example of play. Always nice to have. So if someone is completely new to role-playing games, this is a perfectly fine game for them, especially if they're like a Star Wars fan and they want a game with a bit of fight in it, action, space opera. Character creation rules are at the very beginning as well. Then we go on to chapter 1 that describes all the different abilities. These are your usual strength, dexterity, and so on. Then we come to species with a lovely picture of Jabba the Hutt and Twi'lek here, Lando Calrissian over there, and Rancor. Not a playable race, unfortunately, the Rancor, but hey, you take what you get. A lot of species in this chapter. I haven't really read a lot of those Star Wars novels or stuff like that. Gotten involved into the, I think expanded universe is the word they use for that. But yeah, a lot of different options here, Bothans, Duros, Ewoks, whatever. And it's nice that all of these different races have these portraits, pictures, so that you can see what a Bothan looks like over there, Seri and Duros, and of course the Ewok there. And they really boiled down all of these different races in a nice small part. It's like half a page, each of these. Duros has a general description of the race, and then they go into what their personality might be like most often. Physical description, homeworld, languages, example names, always nice to have so that you have something that fits the universe. What kind of adventures they make, you know, and finally species traits, what the ability modifiers are, what size category they are, what their movement speed is, and here we come into D&D 4th edition territory. Speed is announced in squares, combat squares. So 6 squares, well, that's easy enough to convert. That's 30 feet, equal to about 10 meters or yards. It's not a big hassle, but it's a bit whichever you want to use. I prefer actual real world designation for uh, distance. But yeah, and then they have us in species traits as well. For the Duros, they have expert pilot. As natural spacers, a Duros may choose to re-roll any pilot check, but the result of the re-roll must be accepted even if it's worse. So it's nice that they have this like distinctive aspect of their race that yeah, they're at home at the space, no matter what their skill set might be. They always have a slightly better chance to uh, pilot a spacecraft. Yeah, a lot of different Solar Sterns, Trandoshan, Twilights, of course. Yeah. Wookiees, who are actually one of their abilities is that they can go into a rage, fit of rage like a barbarian would. Nice. Then we go into heroic classes in chapter 3. Now, there are 5 heroic classes. Some people who might come from another D20 game into this one might go, what? Only 5? But there's actually no reason to have more than these 5 because they have a nice bit of flex in them. They can be pretty uh, suitable for more than one thing. I'll go into that a bit later. But yeah, you have the Jedi, the Noble, the Scoundrel, the Scout, and the Soldier. And you can multi-class. Multi-classing is much better here than in 4th edition. You actually get more class abilities. And it's pretty simple, but I don't see much reason for it. There are prestige classes as well. Yeah. So, first off, all of these classes go up to level 20. And all of these classes get something every level. Now, that's very nice. Those of you who played like 3rd edition, I know your pain. It's much better in this one. And for example, the Jedi, they start with defense bonuses, a lightsaber, starting feats, and a talent. And they get, on 2nd level, a bonus feat. 3rd level, they get a talent. 4th level, bonus feat, and so it goes. Nice thing here is that all of these classes are pretty well balanced. Unlike in the West End Star Wars game, the Jedi does not overshadow every other class so that they seem pointless to choose. Why would you be anything else than a Jedi? Here it's way more sensible. Well, like a good bounty hunter can take out a Jedi. They might have a real fight on their hands, but depending on the Jedi, could be even real easy. But yeah, they are described pretty well here what a Jedi is. Exploits, they go into what Jedi do in the galaxy, what kind of characteristics a Jedi usually exhibits, what background might be for someone who becomes a Padawan. Um, Examples of Jedi in Star Wars, of course, Luke Skywalker, and then the game rule information, hit points. Here, actually, the hit points are like in 4th edition. You get, for example, a Jedi gets 30 plus their Constitution modifier at first level. But, and at each level after first, they get 1d10 plus Constitution modifier. Seems like a lot, but really, it does. It's not that big of a deal. A first level character should not be all that squishy if they are supposed to be heroic, especially in a game like this. It's fine. And I've seen these combat rules in action many times. It really doesn't. It's not too much, you know. Then they gain force points every level. Every class gets force points, and these can be used to add a certain amount of points rolled randomly to any roll you make, like a saving throw or an attack roll. But yeah, and those force points are like every time you gain a level, you get a new set of force points. If you had some left when you gained a level, you don't like add those to the new ones. You lose them, so you can't hoard force points, which is nice. And yeah, class features, yeah, sure enough, lightsaber, stuff like that. And here we come to the talent trees. Now, this is a really cool idea, and it works great in bringing a bit more diversity to even first-level characters. For the Jedi, there is the talent tree of the Jedi Consular, Jedi Guardian, Jedi Sentinel, and finally lightsaber combat. All these different talent trees have very different abilities in them. So, for example, a Jedi Sentinel at first level, by making a choice here in this talent tree, you could get either a clear mind or dark side sense. So, clear mind would give you a reroll on any opposed use the force skill check made to avoid being detected by force users. Must take the result of the reroll even if it's worse. So the Sentinel is way more like mind oriented than, for example, the Consular. The Jedi Consular has at first level they could get either the Adept Negotiator or Skilled Advisor. A skilled advisor would spend a full round action advising an ally, thereby granting her a +5 bonus on her next skill check. If you spend a force point, the bonus increases to +10. You cannot advise yourself, you know. That's really cool. So they're more like the diplomat, the advisor type. And there's of course rules here for building your own lightsaber here. Building a lightsaber, which you can do at 7th level. And yeah, overall a good description, very evocative description of the Jedi class. Then you have the Noble. These would be in 4th edition called the leader types, but really, unlike 4th edition, these do not give supernatural healing. Let me read you some of the talent trees here. Influence, inspiration, leadership, and finally lineage. And in lineage you have like connections, educated, wealth, you know. And in leadership you have stuff like coordinate. In influence you have demand, surrender, you know. And these are the guys that really can shine through in social situations, but also in combat. Like with demand, surrender, you make a check on persuasion against the target's will defense. And if you succeed, well, they really have to think their options then. Then we have the scoundrel. This is not the outright rogue skill monkey type character. Some of their talent trees are fortune and misfortune. They also get a talent tree like spacer. where it says you prowl the space lane seeking wealth, fame, adventure, or something more. You're also pretty good with vehicles in general, so you know. And they have a nice set of rules here at the sidebar for gambling. Cool. Then we have the scout. Um, they have the awareness, talent tree, camouflage, fringer, survivor. And yeah, these again examples of scouts in Star Wars are Chewbacca, Wicket the Ewok, Captain Tarpals. And finally we have the soldier, who has the highest amount of starting feats when it comes to weapon proficiencies and armor. But yeah, and they can be a brawler, a commando, weapon specialist. A good overall selection of different things, and yeah, not much else that you would need. I mean, I really tried to think of something that doesn't come out in that chapter, and I couldn't really come up with anything. Um, then we go on to skills. Here we have a simplified skill system where it's like 4th edition. You are either trained or untrained. You don't use skill points to raise your skill. It's a skill roll is 1d20 plus 1/2 your character level, plus key ability modifier, plus miscellaneous modifiers. And if you're trained, you add 5 to the result. So that's pretty straightforward, and I actually like that. And there's something here that's pretty nifty. It's that if you're not trained in a skill, you might still be able to use it. I think there's 19 skills in the game. The only skill that you cannot use untrained is mechanics. But a lot of these other skills have stuff like, for example, the first one here, acrobatics. You can balance and escape from bonds without training. But if you have training, you can cross difficult terrain at your normal speed. You can fall prone as a free action, reduce falling damage, and so on. So, pretty nifty. And with feats, you don't get more skills as you level up. You have to take a skill with a feat. So, and yeah, there's one skill here that stands out from the rest. Use the force. This requires you to own the force sensitivity feat, which Jedi automatically get. But if you have this skill and the feat, then you can search your feelings, go into a force trance, use telepathy. It's pretty neat. And use the force is the skill that is used when you activate any force power on your target, or yourself, as the case may be. Then we have the feats, straightforward enough. Again, most of them combat oriented. But nice selection here as well. Weirdly, a better selection here than I think in 4th edition, which was a bit lackluster in the feat department. At least the core book. I know they improved that game as well with the additional books, but yeah. Chapter 6, the Force. What is it? How do you use it? They go over the Force points and then the dark side. Now, the West End Games version had some pretty cool rules on how you fall to the dark side and stuff. Here we have very simple rules, but they are very good, descriptive. You have a list of transgressions and you gain dark side points. And once your score reaches a certain level, you are no longer a player character, at least in most games. A game master might decide that you can still continue playing if you want a game where it's more character versus character, and maybe the other players want to go after your character to save him, or maybe they even want personally to take you out because they feel somewhat responsible of your actions. But they also have rules here for atonement. And of course, then we go on to force powers. And again, another 4th edition style rule here. You get to pick a suite of force powers. But once you use, for example, force disarm in combat, you don't get to use it again unless you've picked it twice. Only after the encounter has passed and you've regained your composure and had a couple of minutes to recover, then you're able to use it again. This gives a nice balance to the game where it's not like a Jedi can just roll through every other combatant willy-nilly. And it's nice that they use, with these force powers, they use the force skill check, and it's pretty cool. Works well. A lot of force powers here. Some of them are marked dark side, for example, force lightning, so you know what you're getting into if you start blasting people with that. Then we go over force using traditions. They describe the Jedi code, what the Jedi like, the Sith, their origins, Gensarai, witches of Dathomir. And then we come into heroic traits in chapter 7. This has some aging rules, average height, so on. But the real meat of the chapter is in destiny. Destiny is something that, with the game master's approval, you can get for your character, and it's something you don't have to take. But if you do, it adds this sort of it adds to the motivation of your character. Um, you get destiny points, and you try to achieve something. You are destined to do something, for example, and you can devise your own. These are just some examples given here. There's corruption, there's destruction, discovery, education, redemption, and rescue. For example, in rescue it says, your destiny requires you to save a person from death or an object from destruction. Often characters with this destiny will not know which person or object they are meant to save, let alone when or how to do so. They simply must be in the right place at the right time. A hero might spend months traveling with his allies before fulfilling his destiny by saving one of their lives. Conversely, a rebel agent might engage in years' worth of espionage on his home planet only to find that his destiny is to save a local imperial magistrate who betrays the Empire after having her life saved. Examples of this destiny include Han Solo saving Luke Skywalker's life at the Battle of Yavin, and Wicket the Ewok rescuing Leia from the scout troopers on Endor. And if you achieve something that goes towards your destiny, you get a bonus. For example, in Rescue it says, for 24 hours you and any allies within 10 squares of you gain +2 destiny bonus on damage rolls. A penalty if you move away from your destiny, if you get sidetracked or decide on purpose that no, I'm not going after that thing now, you take a -2 penalty on all attack rolls for 24 hours. And if your destiny is finally fulfilled, increase 2 ability scores of your choice by 1 each. So it's a mechanical addition to storytelling, but I think it fits Star Wars space opera perfectly. And it's pretty neat. And the destiny points you get are far more robust than force points. You can, for example, automatically score a critical hit without even rolling for attack. Or you can in fact use them to immediately gain 3 force points, which is nice. Then we come to the equipment chapter. It goes over money, some trade goods that are available, restricted objects, and a lot of weapons here. And this is the part where I think that there's a lot of variety in weapons and armor and equipment overall. But the thing is, there's very little illustration in this chapter, and it could use a lot of it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff online. It shouldn't have been that difficult to add some into this chapter. But yeah, and you have it ends with services and expenses for lodging, medical care, transportation, vehicle rental, usual stuff. And then we come into the combat chapter. Now, here it's pretty. It goes a lot like any other D20 game, except here you don't have armor class, you have reflex defense, and enemies roll towards or against that. And you actually add your heroic level to all reflex, fortitude, and will defense. So a high-level soldier that's buck naked can go toe-to-toe against a heavily armored soldier who's much lower level just because of his experience. And this is yet again another heroic aspect that fits into the game perfectly. There's the second wind ability, something that they started using in 4th edition as well. Here you can get 1/4 of your hit points rounded down if you take a breather. And yeah, it's not overpowered here either. You know, it fits. Damage threshold, falling unconscious, usual stuff. But then there's something that they didn't use in 4th edition. That's pretty unique to this game. There's condition track. So, certain debilitating attacks reduce one's combat effectiveness instead of one's hit points. Examples include a stun grenade blast, a forced march, a paralyzing venom, or long-term exposure to extreme temperatures. Okay, so something else to keep a track of. Luckily, this is very simple to follow. You start with your normal state without any penalties. If you go down one step, you get -1 to all defenses and attack rolls, and ability checks and skill checks. One more step down, -2. One more step down, it's -5. One more step down, it's -10, and your movement is halved. And finally, 5 steps down, you are helpless, either unconscious or disabled somehow. So this means that you can end a fight without just outright killing someone or bashing them over the head until they fall to the floor. You can in fact use like stun grenades and tasers and stuff like that. Works fine. But yeah, the rest of this is pretty. The rules are pretty similar to other D20 games. A lot of squares, a lot of diagrams. And then we come into the vehicles chapter 10. Planetary vehicles, starships, all sorts. They have vehicle fighting rules, combat rules, weapon ranges included for vehicle weapons. Overall, simple system, works fine. Some special maneuvers are available, like ram and all-out movement, avoid collision. And then we have vehicle descriptions. Um, oh, and yeah, there's tractor beams as well, of course. And crew quality, which is pretty significant. And then the vehicle descriptions. And this is the part where, again, more pictures would have been good. There's just a huge list of air speeder bikes, starfighters like X-Wings, TIE fighters. And I mean, there is some nice, simple art here. Like in this picture, you can see a Star Destroyer with some Y and X-Wings going in for an attack run. But it's a bit of a shame that there's not like, except for some of these starfighters here, like you don't really know what they're like, what they what they look like, uh, and it is pretty. I mean, okay, it does cover both starships and ground vehicles, and you know, but there's not much variety. For example, the only space transport that's given here is the Corellian YT 1300 model, which is the same as the Millennium Falcon, but that's okay. It at least gives you an idea of what the statistics might be like for another transport. Then we go over to chapter 11, and there they are, the droids. You can in fact play a droid. That's cool. Instead of choosing a race, you build a droid. You either build your droid from the ground up or take one of the ready-made examples like the R2 Astro Droid or the 3PO protocol droid, the iconic ones. There's a couple of others as well, but overall, yeah, if you want to build your own, it's okay. Uh, you have like this budget of credits that you use to build uh, locomotion uh, accessories, and they go over stuff like memory wipes and reprogramming here as well. But the thing I like about this chapter is, I mean, there's always one guy who wants to play a droid, but they still retain balance in that you're only able to get with that budget you have either a small or a medium-sized droid, so that you can't play one of those massive combat droids, battle droids. But another good thing about that chapter is that they go over the droid player how to treat them at the table. Basically, if the droid is owned by another player character, that player character should not constantly boss their droid around. You can't play another player's character for them, or completely like just make them run around. That there should be an understanding, you know, which I like. It's a good thing that they made sure to clarify that. Then we go over in chapter 12, prestige classes, and although it has a picture of uh, Leia in a bikini, you can't actually pick the slave girl prestige class. That's unfortunate, but what you have here are ace pilots, bounty hunters, crime lords, elite troopers, force adepts, force disciples, gunslinger, Jedi Knight, Jedi Master, officer, Sith apprentice, and Sith Lord. And what's nice about this is that the requirements for all of these are pretty minimal. For example, to become an ace pilot, you need to be 7th level, have piloting skill trained, and have the vehicular combat feat. But that's all. So, if you want, for example, your noble to be able to become an ace pilot, go for it. You can. It's not even a huge investment. And, again, these go up to either 10th or 5th level, depending. I think Sith Lord and Jedi Master are and the Force Disciple are the three that go up to 5, only level 5. But yeah. And these are really really cool. Like I especially like the crime lord here with their, and these again have their talent trees. Like the crime lord um, here, male Rhodian crime lord, looking dapper. You could pick from the infamy or mastermind talent trees. You could get allies through this, but that's not much of an appeal here. But the infamy is pretty funny. You can inspire fear. Um, yeah, so that people that like want to attack you can get, even with inspire fear 3, -5 penalty to their attack rolls and opposed skill checks, just because they've heard of you and they're a bit scared of what you might be able to do to them. That's cool. Then we go over to the Galactic Gazetteer chapter. This is where you find planets of the galaxy described in very short, like for example here you can't see the text, I know, but for example Bespin is this part here, and that's it. You don't have a lot of, and again no pictures, which is a bit lame, but like it would be nice to have like a street view from each planet. But for example in Bespin it says where the region is, what region of space, climate, gravity, moons, length of day, length of year, sapient species, government, capital, major exports, major imports, and knowledge results for both galactic lore and social sciences skills. Better than nothing, but not all that descriptive. Um, then we get to the 14th chapter in game mastering. Now, this is pretty good advice for a new game master here. Uh, how to determine your style of play, uh, keeping the game balanced, adjudicating rules, running a game session, table rules, creating trust, setting the pace, all kinds of good things here. Uh, how to build an adventure or a campaign, and then they have these hazards like atmospheric hazards or fire, poison, falling damage, whatever. And there's also a this I haven't never taken this out, but there's like this two-sided tactical map here as well in color, which looks kind of nice, but I've never had to use it. Then we go into eras of play. In this chapter, they go over the different most common eras: Rise of the Empire, Rebellion, and New Jedi Order. If you want to play Knights of the Old Republic, there is an excellent splat book for that. Pretty thick, actually. I've read it. I don't own it, sadly, but yeah. I mean, if you want to play the original uh, movie series type of time frame, then this works just fine. And they have main characters built here. For example, Darth Vader statted out, and you know, I'd say that if you stat these guys out and you use these, unless I would probably use these as sort of just examples of how to build a character, and you know, but if you intend to use statted out NPCs like Darth Vader or Han Solo in your game, then be ready for your players to try and kill them. And if they do, make it a fair fight, sensible, you know, if they die, they die. Unless your plot depended on that NPC. Who cares? Let them kill Darth Vader if they feel like it. Um, Yeah, then we go into finally allies and opponents. Short chapter that describes some beasts and non-player characters like stormtroopers, general thugs, crime lords here as well, and some other species that have come up, I think, only through the books. But anyway, um, not a very thorough chapter, but at least enough to give a new game master some ideas on how to create challenges for their group. And that's where the book ends at the index. Overall, I'd say a good investment, especially if you have players that like Star Wars and like D20, or at least feel like they might be willing to give it a try. Um, it's very heroic space opera type action, but yeah, with one book you can run all sorts of different games in the Star Wars galaxy. Um, there are a lot of additional books out there, but I haven't read more than a couple of them. But this book is enough for me for running one shots mainly. I've yet to run a full campaign in Saga, but anyway, I'd give it great marks. And if you're interested in Star Wars, I'd urge you to check it out at least. And that's it for this review. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic day. Bye.